Minecraft Bedrock and Java Edition are notorious for having some major parity issues between platforms, aka a feature that's on one version of the game but not on another. There are hundreds of major parity issues between the games, and absolutely everybody knows about some of the major ones, like banners on shields, map markers, useful cauldrons, the offhand, sweeping edge, all that standard stuff. Everybody knows about that, but what about all the other major differences between platforms that really affect everyday gameplay? Today we'll be taking a look at 13 major parity issues between Minecraft Bedrock and Java Edition. If you enjoyed this video, drop a like and maybe consider subscribing, but let's get into it. Let's start off with some minor issues and then we'll work our way up. How about that? So starting off, we got item frames. On Bedrock Edition, you can't place item frames right next to each other in the same block. As you see, we can't place it on like this face right here, and we can't place it behind something like a piece of grass. It just removes the grass. On Java Edition, these things can be placed just about anywhere, and you can actually place multiple in the same block as well, which makes making map walls quite a lot easier, and you can even make infinity rooms as well. This one little feature brings a lot of different possibilities with it. Like, you can put torches inside of the item frames and then have like extra detailed decorations. You can have item frames inside of doorways and stuff like this, which is actually pretty cool. And if you have a solid map, you can make yourself an infinity room where everything is the exact same color, and this is an easy way to like make a green screen in Minecraft. You just can't do this on Bedrock Edition without a whole bunch of shenanigans, and it just doesn't look nearly as good. On Java Edition, you need a saddle to ride a skeleton horse. I'm trying to move around, but I can't do anything. If we open up the inventory, as you see, it actually needs a saddle, and then we can control it, and now it has its own custom little texture. On Bedrock Edition, you don't need a saddle to ride the skeleton horse, and you can't even put a saddle on it. If we try and open up the inventory, the skeleton horse doesn't have an inventory, and you can't dispense or put a saddle on it in general. So you can't have a skeleton horse that looks the same as the ones on Java Edition. There's a ton of different things that observers cannot detect in a Bedrock Edition, such as when you power the side of a repeater. I forget what that's called. Or when note blocks are activated, when you place a piece of snow on top of a piece of grass, for example, when you activate an end portal, changing the state of campfires by putting hay underneath of it, changing rail directions, or charging respawn anchors. There's also an entire type of redstone missing from Bedrock, and that is a Leafstone. So whenever a log is placed next to some leaves, that'll update the leaves because, you know, tree mechanics, and that'll actually activate observers, which is incredibly useful, and it just doesn't exist on Bedrock. There's also an entire item missing from Bedrock, and that is spectral arrows. These are an arrow that have a special effect that makes mobs glow, and we don't even have the glowing effect either. So what is the glowing effect? Well, it makes you glow through walls. So it shows you the outline of players or mobs or really any entity through walls, which can be incredibly helpful and incredibly fun. So let's just give everything the glowing effect, shall we? As you can see, we got a bunch of mobs down underground. We can see absolutely all the entities in the area, and this is actually a really useful command. Not only that, you can also change the color of this outline as well, so it's great for minigame servers where you can differentiate between teams just by their outline. These things are super cheap to craft, and if you're running low on arrows, it can be a good way to get more of them because it actually doubles your arrow output. You can also get spectral arrows from piglin trading too, but only on Java Edition because, you know, reasons. At some point in the past, it was said that spectral arrows would be brought to Bedrock Edition when the Render Dragon upgrade was brought to Bedrock, but it's been a long time since that happened. Where's our spectral arrows, Mojang? On Java Edition, you can also sleep underwater, which is a surprising feature that is missing from Bedrock Edition. As you can see, we just slept underwater because we can. If we move over to Bedrock Edition and try and sleep underwater, it literally just does not let us. In Minecraft Java Edition, you can activate your elytra in the middle of water. So if you're stranded in the middle of an ocean, all you can do is just like activate your elytra and then bam, you can fly away. It is the nicest thing ever. And this comes with an entirely different feature where you can literally fly underwater and become a submarine, which is just not available on Bedrock whatsoever. And it's really fun, actually. It's quite a bit different on Bedrock. As soon as you hit water, your elytra deactivates, and then you cannot reactivate your elytra. You literally have to like place down a block to activate your elytra or swim all the way to land. And there's most certainly no flying with your elytra underwater. We're missing an entire mechanic having to do with water logging on Bedrock Edition. So when it comes to trapdoors, when these are vertical, they should stop the flow of water to them, and when they're down, they should let the water flow through. So as you can see, if we place it in a water source right there, it just kind of flows through the trapdoor, and there's no way of stopping it. And if we do the same test on Java Edition, if we waterlog this trapdoor, as you see, it doesn't flow anywhere unless we flick it down, and then it flows through, which is a really fun mechanic and makes turning on and off water sources extremely cheap, because then you don't need dispensers or pistons. As you can see, we can flood this entire area with just some trapdoors, and this is useful for a variety of different farms, like literally so many different things. And it works vertically as well, because of course it does. Java Edition has nice things. And this isn't purely for old features either. Mangrove roots from 1.19 also have a parity issue. On Java Edition, they completely contain water. As you can see, you can have a water source contain mid-air, but it also still works as a cobblestone generator and other such things. So on Java Edition, this is a solid block that conducts redstone power, mobs can spawn on it, beacon beams can go through it, and it holds water. And on Bedrock, it's a solid block that does not conduct redstone power, beacon beams still go through it, but it doesn't hold its water, so quite the difference. And cobble generators are not nearly as compact with them. There's basically no reason to use mangrove roots in a cobble generator. Bedrock is also missing the holiday features, such as mobs spawning with pumpkins on their head during Halloween, or the Christmas chests that show up during the holiday season. These features were actually on a Legacy Console Edition even, so it doesn't make sense that they're not on Bedrock. I don't know what that is. I don't want to know what that is. We don't need that in Bedrock. That can stay in Java. But hey, it's not all bad news for Bedrock Edition. I mean, we have the tiny salmon and we have the big salmon as well. I mean, look at that dude. He is like... He's pretty thick. On Java Edition, all the salmon are the same pitiful size. I mean, I just feel bad for Java Edition players. How do they even cope knowing that all the salmon are the exact same size? I mean, that's just ridiculous. Oh my god, entity cramming. We don't have entity cramming on Bedrock. This is a 2-for-1. So on Java Edition, you can only have so many mobs in a pile before they all start taking damage and eventually one of them dies. So by default, this is set to 24 mobs. So you can have 24 mobs in one pile, and then as soon as you get a 25th in there, then they all start dying and taking a little bit of damage. And as soon as it's back down to 24, then you're fine. So this was introduced to help reduce lag with mob farms and that kind of stuff. And I think right now this would actually hurt Bedrock Edition because we use a lot of portal-based mob farms and you have like a couple hundred mobs in a pile. We don't really need this feature, but it's still something that we've been missing for like literally years. Oops. Now, you've obviously heard of the offhand for Minecraft Java Edition, where you can, like, juggle tools and put anything you want into your offhand, but have you heard of the, you know, offhand? Let's talk about it. So you go into your options, you go into your skin customization, and then you can set your main hand to be your left hand. And then bam, you've changed which hand is your offhand. So now if I put something into my offhand, it's actually on the right. This is so weird. So you could be left-handed in Minecraft, but only in Java Edition. This is such a weird feature. I don't know of anybody that ever uses this. I've never seen it used, but it's a feature that we're missing. We are missing some critical features with the offhand on Bedrock. These are the only 6 items that you can put into your offhand on Bedrock, and all of them are useless. I think it would be great if we had the ability to put some slightly more things in the offhand, such as damaged or broken tools. If we could put these into the offhand, it would make repairing them at mob farms and XP grinders so much easier. We don't need to be able to actually use the tools in the offhand or like mine blocks with them or kill mobs. Just being able to put them in the offhand would also look cool, but it would be practical for repairing them at mob farms. And there is a reason to give us a slightly more offhand functionality on Bedrock, such as clocks, compasses, or respawn compasses. All these things actually already work in the offhand. Using this command right here, you can put any item in the game into your offhand, and with that, we've discovered that clocks, compasses, and a couple of other things actually already fully work in the offhand. So the offhand might be coming to Bedrock soon, and if it's not, then there's no reason why some slight more things shouldn't be added to it, because they already work. We just need the ability to place them there in survival. Now, there are some tools that do work in the offhand on Bedrock, but I'm not going to talk about that because I already made a whole video on the offhand for Bedrock. Go watch that. So those are just some of the parity issues between Minecraft Bedrock and Java. Let me know if you want to see a part 2 to this, because there's just so much more that I really want to talk about. And if you find any other parity issues, let me know down in the comment section and I might include it in the next video. Thank you so much for watching. Consider subscribing. And then there was silence.